Hey, Jimmy. There's always something new to learn, and here in Rogue Kitchen, we learn by playing with our food. Welcome to Rogue Kitchen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our third season now of Rogue Kitchen. And here we are in our beautiful new office suite here. Jimmy, why don't you tell us about our beautiful office?
Yeah, this is an amazing new space that we have. It's part of the Marriott Foundation Career Studio, funded by a grant from the Marriott Foundation, which also funded my position. And so we wanted to open the space up. There used to be a wall right here, and when you walked into this space, it looked like, as Dean Hardigree says, a dentist waiting office with a few chairs here and there. So we knocked down walls, both physically and metaphorically, and we're opening up the space for students to come in, get a cup of coffee with us. We're going to be inviting employers to come and do some recruiting, some career development sessions in the space behind the camera over there, and just have a nice inviting space and hospitable, welcoming space. And so it's a really cool space for us to do this too.
Absolutely.
We're going to be filming here. We'll show you some of the other spaces we'll be filming into. We're going to do a mix of live and recorded.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's
the space.
Yeah. What do you?
Very good. Well, we're going to be shaking some things up here on Rogue Kitchen this semester. As Jimmy said, we're going to do some recordings. We will also do some live stuff as well, right? And so, we're shaking things up on Rogue Kitchen. We're shaking things up in the School of Hospitality as well. And along with that, we've hired a ton of new people. We've got a much bigger staff here. We've got some great faculty coming in. And as part of that great faculty, we have with us today, our very first guest is Dr. Eric Olson. Eric, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for having me on the first episode of season number 3.
That's it.
Yeah, I've been following you guys for a while now, so I'm really excited to be here.
That's great.
And we're happy to have you.
Eric joins us from Iowa State University. And so, Eric, now that you're in Denver, one of the first things you asked us about when you got here was, give me some great restaurants to go to. Denver's kind of it's a small, but it's a growing culinary mecca, if you will. And so you were wondering about some restaurants to go visit. So give us some, what's been your favorite restaurant?
What have I been doing so far? Yeah. I think that was one of the first questions I asked, right?
Yeah.
One of the most important questions was...
And then I think the chat just started blowing up with all these different...
I think we're in an online meeting and everyone kind of started giving their recommendations. And I actually copied all those recommendations and I still have them on a sheet. But let's see here, a couple of great places I've been to. I did go to Pho Dui. Is that good?
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic pho, great Vietnamese food. And I think that, Jason, that might have been one of your recommendations.
I think there were several
okay.
of us who put that in there.
Yeah, I think we all have, that has the stamp of approval. For
I think so, yeah.
And I also, I got donuts at Voodoo Donuts on Colfax.
Oh,
okay.
So I've been there.
Very good.
I've been to Star Kitchen, Dim Sum.
Oh, yeah.
Like Sunday
that's right
brunch,
across the street
Sunday
from
afternoon.
How long did you have to wait?
Yeah.
You know what? So the first time I was with a group of about 6 people, and it was on Father's Day. So we actually had to wait a good hour.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, though, it was worth it.
Oh, it's
sure.
so good.
Yeah.
It was
so
absolutely
It's
fantastic.
a place I haven't been yet.
But yeah, I loved it so much. I went a couple weeks later and no wait at all. So that was great.
Good.
Little Iceman ice cream.
Yep.
Right, that's kind of a classic place.
I don't think I've heard of that.
No, like with a little milk jug over off Tejon, and where Tejon turns into 16th, I think.
Yeah, haven't
right behind
I'll have
Linger.
to check that out. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I know where Linger
It's a cool little area.
Okay.
And it was absolutely fantastic. But I think you're right though. Denver is so blessed for so many fantastic, great restaurants and cuisines, and that's part of the fun of going to a new city.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah, you
Yeah.
bet.
It's like a treasure hunt, like going around
It
trying to
is.
find all the good restaurants.
Yep.
Trying to find, yeah.
We should do like a Rogue Kitchen scavenger hunt.
Ooh.
We should,
With
yeah.
restaurants.
Season 4 coming up.
There you
Maybe
go.
we can work with Denver food scene on that one.
Yeah, definitely. But so season 3, again, we're going to be introducing all of our new faculty and all of our new staff members that we have.
Maybe even get some old ones on here too.
And get some old ones. Yeah, okay.
Not old,
Get some of our
senior.
More senior.
Yeah.
Get some of our veteran team members to come onto the show as well. You know, we've had Jackson on before, we've had Katie on before. We need to get Chef Watson in here. We haven't been able to get Chef Jennifer Watson in here yet, but we'll get you, Jennifer. I promise. But yeah, this season on Road Kitchen, you know, we're going to mix it up, right? We're going to have, you know, we'll still have our individual recipes and our single recipes and our single cocktails, but we're also going to try to do some student throwdowns. I think with that, we're going to have like Jimmy's going to take one or a couple students, and I'll take one or a couple students. And
we'll coach them.
Hang out, and we're going to coach them through a throwdown. We're also going to try to do some competitions as well. Our goal is to try to get some Pro Start teams in here, or Pro Start students in here, to try to do some competitions amongst Pro Start students. But we'll see how that turns out.
And one big one that's going to be coming up is going to be a really long live stream. We're still working out the details as to what it's going to be, but the Hispanic Restaurant Association's Top Chef competition.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really cool. More details to come on that. But that's going to be in October. We're going to stream some of the action and stream the presentations and everything. So that'll be a really fun day. So excited for that one.
Definitely looking forward to that one. So
yeah, and then on top of that too, I'm going to be inviting a lot of recruiters from hotels and restaurant and industry to come on and talk about you know, the future of hospitality and where is hospitality going, what are we doing, the outlooks of everything. You know, there's such great opportunities for students out there right now that I just want them to be able to tell their story about their organization and what their culture is like, and really get that out there to the students and to the greater public about, you know, hospitality is coming back strong, and what it's going to look like in the next like 2 to 5 years. So we'll have some career and industry segments built into the next season as well. And I think that's kind of
it.
Changes. Yeah,
I think that's kind of the changes. Is kind of the broader view, I think, of what our season's going to be. So I think with that, I'm gonna jump into kind of preparing our single recipe today, and we'll have a conversation here with Dr. Olson.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. So our plan today is to prep up everything we need for Steak Diane. You know, today is it's actually National Filet Mignon Day. All right, but we're going to take it a little step further here. All right, and we're going to create this. You know, we're going to sear the piece of meat, and we're going to make a nice little pan sauce to go with it. Okay, we'll have some mushrooms, some onions, a little bit of garlic. And we'll throw in some fresh thyme, and then we'll go ahead and deglaze that with some brandy. All right, and then hit it with a little bit of fresh cream, season it up, and we'll just kind of go that route. It's kind of a classical dish, but it's really simple.
It's done tableside sometimes.
It is done tableside. August is a huge anniversary month, so maybe if you want to do something nice for your sweetheart or something, you could use like sirloin. You could certainly use tenderloin if you wanted, or you could even use like a flat iron steak or something. Okay, so today we're actually going to use tenderloin, but again, you could use, you could use a lesser or a more economical cut of steak, if you will, if you'd like on that. So
on the tableside service, though, brings up another restaurant. If you go down to Colorado Springs, the Pepper Tree.
The Pepper Tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's up on this hill. You can see
nice.
The windows open up to all of Colorado Springs, and so you go there at night. They do all their steaks tableside.
Oh, wow.
And Caesar salad tableside. And it's just a classic old school steakhouse type thing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing experience.
Fantastic.
Huh.
So check
Thanks
that
for the
out. I don't know if
recommendation.
you've been down there.
No, I haven't. But, you know, I did my apprenticeship at the Broadmoor Hotel years ago, and the Penrose Room. They used to do a lot of tableside stuff there. I don't know how much tableside stuff they do. I haven't been there in 20-some years, but you know, they used to do Caesar salad tableside.
Oh, nice.
They would do a Dover sole tableside.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they ever did Steak Diane tableside. I can't remember a steak dish of some sort, or veal or something like that tableside there. But anyway, never been to the Pepper Tree though. No, I'll definitely have to check that out.
Both of you have to check it out. And you out there too.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, very good. Well, you know, part of this dish, like I said, is just cutting stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of mince up an onion here.
All right, for today's cocktail, we're going to do a play on the Nutty by Nature. We learned this cocktail in this household from the Bluegrass over in Arvada, which we love that place, and I'm gonna be working with Jeff about some coffee here pretty soon. So it's not quite their recipe, but like I said, it's kind of based off of that. Instead of the double oak, I have a Old Forester, but what I did here, and we did this with a whole bottle maybe a month ago, and I think we talked about it last season, we actually infused with coffee. So we took a whole bunch of coffee beans, put it in our whippet container, and put in the bourbon, and put in 2 nitrous containers and let it sit for 4 to 5 minutes. After that, pulled it out, strained it, and we had this beautiful coffee-infused bourbon. And Old Forester is a really good base for that. It's actually just a really good bourbon in general. And you can still, we're down the last one, but it still smells like coffee. I guess you can't smell that, but all right. So we're gonna start with that as our base, and that is 1.5 ounces. A fancy little jigger here. So we have 1.5 ounces of coffee-infused bourbon. Instead of the simple syrup, we're actually going to do this bourbon barrel aged syrup. Just reinforce those dark flavors. So 1/4 ounce of that. This is actually a 1/2 tablespoon, which is kind of uncommon. I happen to get it on some random Toyota branded tablespoon or measuring spoons, and it's actually quite useful. So next we're going to go with 1/4 ounce of sweet vermouth and about 4 to 6 dashes of black walnut bitters. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 4 is good. And we'll go with a little stir. We don't need to shake, but we do want to cool it down and make sure it's well chilled and get a little bit of that ice melt. So we're going to go about 30 stirs is what they taught us. All right, 30 stirs. We take our strainer, set it in there, pour it into an iced glass. There's that. Now for our garnish, we're gonna do something a little fun. We'll go ahead and get the torch going. We're gonna use a peeler. Just get a nice peel off our lemon. We're actually gonna let that roast a little bit right here. It's a little hot, but you can kind of sit over the flame. You can do this over your oven. If you have a torch, you can do it over the torch. Just so you get that little singe on it. And then we'll twist that into the glass, and then you take it, turn that off. And you always want to take your twist or your peel and rub it along the rim, so that way you get those oils right on the rim there. As you're tasting it and as your nose hits the top of the glass, you get that smell. So, cheers.
Okay, so we're making a pan sauce with this steak. So we want our onions fairly small. You could definitely use shallots, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut these, and then we're just going to go ahead and talk to Eric here and ask him a few more questions, and I'll just continue to prep here, but I'm going to dice some onions, dice some mushrooms, chop some thyme, and that's really about it. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about your role and what you do for the School of Hospitality now?
Sure, absolutely. So I just started about 5 weeks ago on July 1st, and I am the department chair of the the Rita and Navin Des Moines Department of Hotel Management in the School of Hospitality. And I think my role here, I think I'm like a stage manager, bringing people together, right? So faculty members and staff and industry partners to really, execute the mission and the vision of the university and our strategic plan. And so I spend a lot of my time with focusing on faculty and staff member development, guiding the program, into the future, where we're going in terms of courses and and other initiatives. And when students begin to come back fall, I want to spend a lot more of my time, interacting with students.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, it's been, I think a challenging year for a lot of people, especially our students in the last, 14, 15 months. So I want to hear what's on their mind and how they've been handling everything, and kind of talk about the outlook of the industry.
Yeah.
Kind of where we're going within this industry. I do think it's a very exciting time to be in the hospitality, tourism, event, outdoor rec, brewery industry. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of,
everything's just booming right now.
It is.
Business is picking up.
Yeah, huge pent up demand. I think just at the heart of what we do, we bring people together, right? Visiting friends or family members, or going to a sporting event, or traveling to a business meeting to make a sale, or become a little more fine tuned on some sort of an aspect. So that part will never go away, right? Just that connection. So I think the long-term growth of our industry, it's going to be unparalleled.
Yeah, it's just how we do it, right?
Exactly.
And how we innovate and adapt and continue to do things to keep people safe.
Sure, without a doubt. Yeah, and I think you bring up an interesting point that we've seen a lot of innovation in our industry just in the last 14 months, and that's going to spur a whole growth of new business, new job opportunities, new segments, and that's a very exciting time for our students, I think.
Yeah. So aside from work, what are some hobbies that you partake in?
Yeah,
on the weekends
absolutely.
and such?
Well, moving to Denver, there's just so much exciting things to happen or to check out. I'm a big traveler, greatly enjoy traveling, and been fortunate to see a lot of different places and such. I do play piano.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
I do play piano, so we might have to add a little rogue music special edition.
What
You know
favorite
what's
song
funny
to play then?
I'm sorry?
Your favorite song to play then?
I usually kind of do a little more of the classical, actually.
Yeah.
I took lessons for a little while, so a little more in the classic, some of the classical area as well.
Any piece in specific? Or?
Beethoven,
Yeah.
Mozart, I guess.
Cool,
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll see. Yeah.
Very good.
Well,
Yeah, we'll have to get a piano in here.
I know, right?
Well,
Yeah.
what's funny is when we first started Rogue Kitchen, my daughters had piano lessons on the afternoon, right before we
sure.
started, from 3 to 4.
Yeah.
And so
I think there was one episode where it went long a little bit, and
Went
she
long
was
and-
plinking a little bit in the background. And
Oh,
you could
that's
hear it.
Yep. So whenever Jimmy would do sound tests and stuff like that, it was my daughter's playing piano in the background.
Yeah,
So
we had like an hour of stream check and just make sure everything's working right, even though sometimes it didn't work right.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'd hear the entire lesson. Which is,
yeah.
Oh, that's great. And I will say this too, another hobby a couple weeks ago, became a member of the Denver Botanical Gardens.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely fantastic. Have you been there before?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous, and I'm excited to go there kind of every season, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Right? It kind of changes. And
I think I was telling you too. They do a concert series. It'll
wow.
kick back up
Yeah.
next year,
Yeah.
hopefully. But some of the most amazing concerts I've seen have been at the Botanic Gardens.
excellent.
Yeah.
It's a really cool space, and you can bring in your own food and wine and have a little picnic,
Oh, that's great.
and
Oh, that's
it's just
cool.
on the lawn. So.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting.
All right, Jason, what do you got going on with those mushrooms?
Yeah, so I've got some. They're kind of like large creminis or small portobellas here. So so I'm just cutting them in half, and then I just cut those halves into slices. So we kind of get these like long slices here, and then we will go into the kitchen later on and we'll sear them up. And after we sear our steak and stuff, we'll sear them up and
As
finish
part of
up
the
our
pan
dish.
sauce, right? You're
Yes,
kind of
yep.
building those flavors.
Building the flavor. That's
Yeah, we'll kind of walk
so
through
we'll-
that in a little bit.
Yep, we'll saute up our mushrooms, add our onions. Of course, we'll add a little bit of fresh thyme to it. We'll throw in our brandy there, and I forgot beef stock as well. Let that reduce a little bit, and add our heavy cream, just a touch of heavy cream, just kind of to help thicken everything up, to kind of give it that richness as well. And we'll spoon that on top of our steak there. So,
Nice.
So I have a question for the two of you. So what are some
Sure.
of your favorite markets? Like farmers markets for vegetables, mushrooms,
Oh, okay. All right.
those sort of.
well, I think
Fruit.
the Cherry Creek Fresh Markets is a good one to go to. They do that a couple of days a week. Wednesday mornings, sometimes Wednesdays they don't really have the a lot of the fresh produce down there, but Saturdays, it's a really big market.
Nice.
They've got all kinds of produce purveyors down there. They've got some mushrooms as well. In fact, Jackson Lamb and I took a couple of our classes down there a couple weeks ago. Let them pick out some produce, and then they cook their projects, online, and then presented those to us. So that was kind of cool.
That's great.
I think that's the main one I go to.
Yeah, I go to the one in Arvada, and there's some good produce there. I get fresh eggs there too.
Okay.
I got some really awesome duck eggs a
Oh, wow.
couple weeks ago. But I don't get up there often, but the Boulder Farmers Market is awesome.
Excellent.
There's just really great produce up there, and it's just a great market. And then the one at Union Station is actually a part of the Boulder Farmers Market. I think it's Boulder's Farmer Market. And so it's kind of a subsection of that.
Great.
And so there's really great local food there too, and a lot of produce. And it's cool going to the farmers market at Union Station.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That area, I love Union Station.
Yeah.
And
Union
that whole
Station's
area.
cool. Yeah, I like it.
Sometimes we'll take the kids on the light rail from Arvada down.
Nice.
And then
that's
let them
fun.
run around in the the fountain.
the outdoor.
thing over there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially in this heat.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So Eric, you like to travel a lot.
Yeah.
You've been in hospitality for a long time.
For a while.
So,
yeah.
like, what is your most memorable hospitality experience? And it could be just anything. I guess maybe
Sure,
not necessarily your
yeah.
favorite, but definitely your most memorable.
I'll give you maybe like 3.
Okay.
I'll want 3 now.
That sounds great.
So let's see here. I always enjoy, kind of in the academic sense when, an instructor, if it's myself or others, we see the growth of a student, that they may not have known all the different kind of careers and jobs that are available
Absolutely,
in our industry.
Sure.
So maybe a student just kind of completed an internship, or they just got that first job offer, or they went on that study abroad trip and it changed their life, and now they know what they want to do. So I always enjoy that, right? That's that personal and professional growth that we see
Sure,
from students.
yeah.
That I think all as educators we recognize. Let's see here. Professionally, I did work for the Walt Disney World Company.
Yeah.
I was down in Florida for a little while, so I had that was one of my first jobs out of college, and I think I had a lot of just different experiences, kind of creating that guest service and those magical experiences.
Sure.
For guests, I think. I greatly enjoyed my time there, and I've tried to bring some of my Disney training through whatever organization. And as I always say, MSU, Denver, and also Disney, there's lots of characters involved, right? So I greatly enjoyed, I think those are just some other, kind of other good memories I've had in the industry. And then just, I'd say kind of personally, a big traveler. Before I moved to Denver, I got up to Alaska this summer, early
cool.
summer, and that is absolutely fantastic. So I did a helicopter, or actually it was more of a smaller plane in some of the mountains. I think that was kind of my highlight of travel this year.
Okay.
So
Nice.
yeah, just a small single engine, a plane with about 6 people, and just kind of looking at the various mountains and national park. It was great, kind of a good experience there. So yeah, that's a couple of experiences I'd say, kind of.
Very good.
Yeah, kind of in the
I-
academic sense and industry, and then just kind of
Yeah.
personal fun. Yeah.
Well, and I agree with you on the student aspect of it too. Like when you teach a student, you spend 16 weeks, teaching them stuff and sharing your knowledge and your experiences with them, and something either clicks with them or they share a great experience with you. And you're like, that's why I do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, and I think
Yeah.
that is, as you said, like a really great feeling. And I remember a couple years ago when I first started teaching here, and I was teaching kind of like, it was our food preparation science class, and some of the students, they're like, wow, you're gonna make us cook all this? But then when they got into the next class, they said, they stopped me in the hallway and they said, I am so glad you taught us all this because it totally makes sense in this class.
Yeah,
now I
right.
put the pieces together. And I was like, that's why we do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
definitely.
great.
Those aha moments are fun to watch happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely, yeah. So right now, so I peeled some thyme while Dr. Olson took some time to explain to us his most memorable hospitality experiences. I was peeling some thyme. It takes time to do it. God, so many puns there. So many, But so now I'm just going to chop up this thyme here, and that should be about all the preparation we need to do. Whenever we get in the kitchen, we will season up our meat, and we'll walk through and talk about the heat in the pan and managing our heat. It's something that we've talked about before, and so we'll go over that as well. So, Jimmy, we have any more questions or anything else we want to discuss with Eric? I know he's got a lot to do, and
yeah, I think one thing that we were kind of thinking here is, do you have a Colorado bucket list?
Ooh,
oh yeah,
oh my
right.
goodness. Yeah, again, I'm very lucky to work with such great and interesting faculty and staff members that are out about in industry and giving me lots of recommendations. But yeah, there's a couple I want to check out. I've been to a couple of the national parks already in Colorado, but there's a couple more I'd like to get to. I was down at the dunes. Have you guys been there?
It's been a long
Oh
time.
my
but
goodness,
yeah.
is that not fantastic?
Yeah.
Right. It's been a while since I've been skiing, so I'm very excited for winter. Now, everyone has been warning me that early October we could get snow. Is that correct?
It's a possibility. It's always a possibility.
Always, yeah.
I mean, I grew up where my Halloween costume had to include a sweatshirt of some sort.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
Oh, that's great. It's been a while since I've been rafting, so maybe this summer or next summer I'll do that. And just check out all the great events.
Yeah.
I mean, Denver is a festival city.
Yeah,
And
definitely,
it's exciting to see so many events and festivals come back this summer and kind of be repositioned for early fall. So yeah, just excited to check out a lot of the festivals and events in town.
Great.
Very good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
I think we're gonna get into the kitchen and show you this recipe
That's right.
and get cooking. All right, well, welcome to the Culinary Demo Theater. We're going to be doing some segments here as well. We'll do some cooking here, some cooking back in the other space, and then some cooking in events. And some of the throwdowns will be down in the kitchen where we did the biscuit bake-off back in March. Jeez, March?
Was it
That
March?
long ago?
That was a long time ago. It seems like it was
Man.
just last week.
Yeah.
A long time ago. But
All right, so let's see this Steak Diane recipe.
all right. So again, I've got they're probably about 6-ounce steaks here, and I'm just going to do some really easy salt and pepper here. Okay, and season them up. Now, one thing you want to remember when cooking with meats, right, is it's okay to leave them out at room temperature.
In fact, you want to.
For just a few minutes. Yeah, you definitely want them to warm up in the middle, right? Because if not, we're going to get this really nice golden brown, sometimes overcooked exterior, and then our interior will be raw, okay, or be undercooked, right? So we want the interior of our meat, well, a whole piece of meat, to be a little bit, not close to room temperature, but we definitely want it to be warmer than chilled, right? So
Yeah, I mean, I personally pull my meats out and put them on a tray with a paper towel to soak up any extra liquid. And then I leave it out for anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes and pull it out 30, 40 minutes before I'm going to sear.
yeah.
Just that way, it, like you said, it comes up to temp, but then having the paper towel to absorb any of the extra liquid that's coming out. And because we've talked about this before, where if you have that liquid on there and it's not dry, when you go to sear it, you're actually just boiling all that liquid in between the steak and the pan, and you won't get that browning effect, at least not as quickly. And so have a nice dry room, not like you said, not room temp, like off chill.
Yeah.
And that's how you get the best sear on the protein.
That's right. And so as someone explained it to me years ago, you want to sear your meat, you don't want to simmer your meat. Okay? At least not in this regard here. Okay. So I'm just using some simple some ground sea salt here. All right, we're gonna generously season it here. All right. We'll make sure we get both sides here. I'll do salt and pepper here. All right. So you can definitely leave your, you can season it, and then maybe 10, 15 minutes later, you come back and sear it. All right. A lot of people have varying kind of techniques in seasoning their meats and whatnot. So we're just going to
And if you season too early though, the salt will actually kind of pull some liquid out.
Yeah.
And then the meat is actually,
When you get that
you get more moisture.
Yeah.
So you don't want to season too early, otherwise you won't get as good of a sear.
That's right. And I've got my pan here. I've got it preheated. It's been going for about 2 minutes here. Okay, we're about on about medium high heat. Okay, and again, we want our pan to be hot enough to where we get that Maillard effect, right? Where we caramelize the exterior of the meat or the surface of the meat. Okay, but we don't want it to sit in there and just cook and then we get it brown, right? Because then we get an uneven sear on the meat. So we definitely want to go into a hot pan. We talked about that numerous times, Jimmy, about going into a hot pan.
Always heat your pan first, then put your oil in right before, and then go with the sear.
And then go with the sear, that's right. So we're gonna go ahead, I've got my tongs ready to go. I've got my oil here ready to go, so we'll just do a little bit of oil there. Again, we're not frying our meat, okay? And we're not trying to poach our meat in the oil here. We just wanna coat the bottom of the pan. And I'm gonna put the meat in. I'm gonna drop it in away from me. See, we got that nice sizzle, that nice sear in there. You can see it. You can see it searing around the edges there. Okay. We're going to do that here with this one as well. All right. We'll keep clean, so we'll put this away over here. All right. I'm gonna throw in some butter later on, whenever we get to cooking our mushrooms. Okay. So now we just want to let our meat sear like this.
And
right?
another important thing is just leave it alone.
Leave it alone. That's right.
If you go to pull it out or try to flip it right now, the proteins haven't completely tightened up, and you're just going to tear that sear up, and it'll stick to the pan. So you just want to leave it be and it'll actually start to pull up a little bit as it browns and the proteins kind of constrict. It'll actually pull itself off the pan a little bit, and then you can kind of jiggle it around a little bit if it's still kind of stuck, and then flip it over. But if you do it right now, you lose that whole sear.
That's it. A lot of times I think cooking requires a lot of patience, I think. And I think a lot of times people are, they want their food to be done, or, they might be too worried about it, right? So they start moving it around, and we don't get that nice sear on there. So we're just gonna let this sear up here and
Let it do its thing.
let it do its thing here. Hey, it's all about managing your heat, right? So I turn it up just a little bit more on here to try to get the pan a little bit hotter. All right. So we'll just let that sear there. Now we've got our nice caramelization, our nice Maillard effect on there. We got some really nice browning on there.
Oh yeah, that looks great.
It looks great, huh?
Nice crust. I can see the crust.
You can see the crust there. You can feel it.
Can you hear it?
You can hear it.
Can you tap on it?
That's right. All right. Now we'll let that other side get just like that. All right, and we'll throw in our other ingredients there, starting with our onions, our mushrooms, and then our onions. Finish it with some thyme. All right, Jimmy, I think we're going to remove our steaks here. We've got one that's a little bit thinner here, so we're probably about medium.
It's smelling good in here though.
Smelling pretty good, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in a little nub of butter here. And I'm going to get our mushrooms in. The key to cooking mushrooms is a hot pan. And again, just want to let it set, right? We kind of want our mushrooms to kind of squeak a little bit, like little mice on a hot surface. Squeak, squeak, squeak. All right.
It's a good description of that.
Yeah, but it's kind of morbid, but yeah, it's still, All right, so we want them to sit there, right?
There's actually some mushrooms like King Belize that actually cook better in a dry pan, so without any oil.
Okay.
And you sear them up, and they brown because it releases so much liquid.
Yeah.
So you're kind of just letting the liquid cook off.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like drying it out, and then it starts to sear.
And then it starts to sear?
Yeah.
Huh. In a dry pan, all right.
And then you toss some butter in there.
Okay.
And finish this out there.
So what I'm doing here is I'm just taking I'm taking that butter, coating all the mushrooms in that butter. I think we're going to add just a little bit more here. So I have about a tablespoon and a half of wonderful butter here. All right, we'll coat all of our mushrooms in there. All right, and we'll just let those sear in there. And we'll get into putting our onions in. Let our mushrooms go here for about 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes here. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in our onions now. All right. And just as we often do, we got to keep our seasoning out, but we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of seasoning here. Right. We're kind of pre-seasoning our overall dish. And the salt also helps to pull out some of that moisture from our onions, right? We've got this nice little wonderful fond here in the bottom. See this beautiful brown stuff here?
That's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff right there, all right? So we want the moisture from our onions to pull that off the pan. Let that sit for a few minutes. Add a little bit of fresh thyme. And just as a background flavor here. Kind of building our flavors. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of our Dijon mustard as well.
And that's the thing with the pan sauce. You're building all these flavors in layers. Yeah. You're sauteing your mushrooms and getting the liquid out from there. Then you're sauteing your onions and so that the liquid comes out from there and all kind of combines. And then you have that time just to kind of finish it off in the back. And the tartness from the mustard is.
Oh, that mustard smells so good with that thyme.
Yeah, when it hits the heat, it just hits your nose real quick.
All right, so now we're going to throw in some of our brandy here. Now, if I were to do this over a burner, I want to pull it off the heat so it doesn't flame up. All right, but here we don't get that flambe because we're not working with an open flame there, right? That's okay. We want to kind of shift our meat around here so we're kind of deglazing all that stuff off there, right? We've talked about deglazing before. All right, so once our alcohol cooks off of there, we want this to be almost dry. Au sec is the culinary term. All right, the way you can tell if all the alcohol is cooked off, waft it up in your nose. And if it burns the bridge of your nose, the alcohol's still in there. If it doesn't burn the bridge of your nose, your alcohol is completely cooked out. So it does not burn the bridge of my nose, like right up in there. So the alcohol is completely cooked out. So now we will throw in a little bit of our beef stock. Traditionally, this dish is made with a veal glacé, like a demi-glace, but we don't have that.
So demi-glace is just a beef or veal stock slowly reduced down, and it gets thicker and thicker, and so you maintain the same amount of gelatin in there, but you're getting rid of the liquid.
Yeah.
And so it's a glacé. It's not thickened by anything but the gelatin from the bone stock and everything, and has a really nice decadent mouthfeel, especially once you hit it with the cream too.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and throw in just a little bit of our cream here, and our cream is going to add our richness to it, as well as help thicken up our sauce as well. So, mix all that around in there. And this other thinner piece here, I'm going to go ahead and pull that guy out. I'm going to let this one cook for a little bit. We want to let that sit in there for maybe about 90 seconds. Right, now we want to let our meat rest for just a few minutes before we slice into it, right? If we let that meat, or if we slice right into that meat immediately, it'll just bleed all over the place, right? So we want all those molecules on the inside of the meat are just going 100 miles an hour in there, right? So we want to let all those molecules just kind of sit down a little bit, or settle down, all right? Then when we slice into it, we'll get a little bit of bleeding, but we won't lose all of those juices, all right? I'll go ahead and turn off our pan sauce here and let this kind of sit. I'll taste it here and season as needed, so. I'll add a little bit more salt here, just a little bit, a little more pepper. All right, but we definitely have that wonderful sweet flavor of the brandy in there. I can taste the Dijon mustard. The thyme is definitely present in there. All right, we have wonderful mushroom flavors there. All right, so our pan sauce is ready to go. Let's go ahead and slice into our meat. That is our steak Diane. Okay. We have our seared beef tenderloin, followed by our sauteed mushrooms and onions, a little bit of fresh thyme, Dijon mustard, brandy, beef stock, and a little bit of heavy cream there to finish it up.